Well, hello everyone. You here to show you the drawing coloring right here is you say is a college book, and that most of us would probably think about if we thought about maybe going to college someday is knowing about it's like if we knowing about it's like whenever we were in grade school it is knowing about the fact that yeah that anybody would ask you it's like those particular questions it was is like what do you want to be whenever you grow up and stuff like that. And then a couple of times that few people have asked me that question. Of course, it's like what do you want to be whenever you grow up? It is, and a lot of times I think I remember that whenever I was in the on my sophomore year, it was that I had said that like science and a lot of the schoolwork that I looked around. Of course, that I'm just thinking about this like that was my favorite subject. Well, I guess I just liked from how the teacher was, and of course about what we were doing in that class. That made me like it. I don't know if I exactly like the subject, but other than that, is talking about right here is I'll go ahead and use like what you call buildings as kind of an example right here. Is you have right here is a building that I went ahead and drew in. Of course, this type of building, so far as talk about with the college book, is it talking about is that whenever if you're in school, it is that you have the normal it's like subjects. It's like with the say with elementary school that you have it's like art, math, science, recess and specials and stuff like that. And then of course with middle school that you have those particular subjects like reading along with the earth science, and then of course biology, those type of subjects it is. And to high school it is, yeah, if it's a maybe the police academy, or if it's a any type of community college, state university, whatever it is. Knowing about with the building that you have a building right here in the building that you have you could have like maybe a few levels that could be it's like what you call is like the main building that you would walk into. It's like if there would be I could maybe draw it right here. It's like you walk into the door and there would be like stairs and stuff like that you walk into, and that you would be able to go in, and if there would be classrooms, and in the hallways, a few hallways, a study area, wherever it is. But it's like talking about like drawing out your possibilities, huh? But anyway, if go ahead and use the blue right here. But then of course it's like you got right here is another building, and go ahead and use a few buildings right here for like kind of example. And we could probably think about is like with college that with the schooling, like I'm thinking about going to college one of these days, and like you don't know when. I'm looking at maybe it could be maybe by the year 2019, something like that. Like I really don't know. I really don't know exactly. Am I by next week? What am I going to be busy with by next week? It's like more likely just be doing stuff around here. It is, but anyway. You just really never know about really what you could be busy with. But a lot of people think about is like what their major is, if their major is sociology or English or anything like that, they want to be a teacher, anything like that, is knowing about the fact about that about college. I hear a lot of times that of course it costs money to go to school, and like with almost everything, and knowing about it's like things they keep in mind. It's like on a notepad for you say is the college book, is knowing about that actually my parents are paying for it, or it could be something related to that I got a student loan, whatever it is. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that that I keep thinking I'm like that people they say don't feel pressured into going. It's like knowing about for what you really want to do. And the way I usually look at it is knowing about that hey if until you know what you want to do, that the way I think about it, it's like you say like my parents in the United States, they say don't rush it. But you have these buildings right here, and these buildings could represent it's like a museum or a factory or whatever that they could represent a classroom for medical studies or anything like that. If you're going to school, learn to be a doctor, or if you are going to school, just to learn about the basics about the different subjects like math, and then of course right in here that I can go ahead and see here, like use the go ahead and use the brown, and then of course you see is a draw, like what you call it. There was like a place of maybe a few restaurants, a few courts. It is that there was like a few food courts, maybe around back right here, but that there was like a place where you can walk up to the buildings, and then of course and then there would be like a rest area at about right in here. It is. Go ahead and draw like what you call a rest area about right in here. It is. Go ahead and maybe add a bench right here or something like that. But anyway, just normal ideas. It's like knowing about that. Yeah, that anything that comes to your mind about whatever school that you think you may want to go to, and knowing about. A lot of people would probably think about, if you're going to be talking about your college, your tuition. Go ahead and maybe draw like some flowers right here, but talk about your college is knowing about that. Yeah, that a lot of people ask, it's like, why do you want to go to college, and what's your major or anything like that. And a lot of times with most students it is knowing about that. Yeah, that well, I want to aim for a good education, or I just really want to go for just the heck of it. And a lot of people will probably think about that. That's something you got to go ahead and think about doing, because on the other hand too, that with most students it is knowing about, it's like kind of a big responsibility on your part, and knowing about the amount of money, about how much it costs. And I would probably think about, if you do the math on a calculator, it is knowing about, it's like the math on a calculator is, I would probably say, if it's about at least $3,000, if you take the time, it's like times 2, it's like if it maybe $3,000, maybe per quarter. It is, if you go about maybe $6,000, maybe and then if it will be paid for, maybe by a financial aid or whatever you call it, is knowing if you do the math right, if it's a addition, plus 1, it's like 6,001 or anything like that. Multiply that, and then times 5, and it's like how many years do you have to go. And then of course it could be maybe be 30, about 30,000 5 or something like that, per quarter for whenever you plan on going. It is. And a lot of people, and I keep thinking, I'm like, knowing about how I know it costs money just to go, but then on the other hand too, that knowing about, whenever I look at my senior graduation picture, it is knowing about that. Yeah, that knowing about if there's a better answer than knowing about, if it comes to your mind, or if it slips from your mind, comes to your mind and slips from your mind, about school possibilities. And to know about that young look on my face, is knowing about, it's like me holding my high school diploma. It is, with the medal around all tied, say on my neck, and it's like to be represented. It's like you'll be walking across the stage. It is knowing about that. Yeah, that this is say, if it's necessarily about what you want to do, and then of course what your major is. But then of course what my major more likely would be is like, so far is something that makes you feel good about yourself, is knowing about, it's like maybe show others what you can do. It's like knowing about that. Yeah, if you maybe want to draw a picture of, like maybe a college, maybe a school that you may want to go into, but I keep thinking, I'm like, maybe I may win a lottery. Just to see about, like knowing about, how I'll be able to go to school. But anyway, a lot of parents and kids, as you say, that knowing about, it's like go to college, it's like knowing about how expensive it is, but then knowing about if you know what you want to major in. And of course, a lot of times I use buildings as an example. It's like, question is, it's like for a college book, it's like, when you think you'll be ready, to go. It's like, for to go to college. It is, and basically is talking about, it's like so far is your major. It is. It's like knowing about, it's like what you want to study, about your studying, and of course knowing about, it's like when you think you want to go. Well, you can maybe write down on your shirt, or if you want to, it's like that particular joke I think about. And then of course on your hand too, to keep in mind, is like what your major is, and it's like you probably think about I'm good at a lot of things, and good at coming up with ideas for my own creative mind and such, and more likely they could probably think about, well, on the other hand too, that knowing about how much money it costs, and then that knowing about if you don't really want to know what you want to do, and then a lot of people would probably think about is like, hey, it's a waste of money, etc., etc. It's a waste of money, especially if you don't know what you want to do. On the other hand, too, that knowing about, hey, if the money's the most important thing about knowing about, it's like when you want to school, the fact that the knowing about, it's like, yeah, that what it would take, just to, what you call it, to write. It's like, for I am able. I am able to learn more. I am able to learn more. And it's like so far as in my own handwriting is about me. About me and for my schooling. But other than that, is they're talking about right there, and then of course it's like you say if you underline that, for learn, like learn about me, for me it's like for my schooling. But other than that, is talking about it so far as the college book, and along right there is they say a photo of me and talk about it's like the study of the buildings. But other than that, is talking about right there is knowing about it's like so far as for college ideas.